They never intended to let your absence gnaw at their heart, but it happened. Nobody else can replace you. The separation left them with an emptiness that time alone can heal, and they've come to a startling truth. Your presence brought them the kind of warmth that is irreplaceable. Stay and listen. This is for you. If you sometimes doubt the impact you've made, someone important out there struggles daily because you're gone. They quietly relive moments, replay words, pray for any chance of reconnection, even if it's a simple sign you're thinking of them, like this message. Subscribe and comment 77 feet if you're open. Now let's remind you why it matters that your energy was never forgotten. Chapter 1. You left a space that feels impossible to fill. You ended up leaving more than just a memory behind. You left a space in their routine, in their hopes, in their secret daydreams. They try to fill it by meeting new people or staying distracted, but no matter what they do, there's an unmistakable sense of something missing. A random laugh or a fleeting phrase you used to say echoes in the back of their mind, and they're forced to admit they can't rewrite the comfort you once provided. It goes beyond affection. It's the knowledge that you inspired them in a way nobody else ever could. They find themselves revisiting old messages, rereading notes you wrote, or replaying your voice in their thoughts. In the quiet hours, they feel acutely aware that they let slip a chance to hold on to a genuine bond. The passage of time hasn't deadened that realization. If anything, it's made it sharper, more insistent. They might pretend in public that all is fine, but deep within, they carry a silent hum of regret. You made their dark days lighter, their anxiety smaller, their dreams brighter. That hushing of your mind at night, when you unexpectedly think of them, that's no coincidence. There's a deeper telepathic nudge bridging the gap, an invisible tether that defies distance. They're sending out emotional signals, hoping you still pick up on them, even if your logical mind insists they've moved on. Your spirit senses they haven't. This emptiness you left behind goes unnoticed by your day-to-day logic, but it's so real that they feel it physically, like a missing piece in their day. They might keep busy, chase new friendships, or bury themselves in endless tasks, but the loneliness remains. In fleeting moments, they imagine what they'd say if only they had the nerve to contact you. They wonder if you'd be open to hearing them out. You might be tempted to dismiss this longing, to think it's just them feeling nostalgic, but the truth runs deeper. Your presence provided them a sense of safety and understanding they never found anywhere else. Even if they're surrounded by people, there's no one they trust enough to be that real with. In private, they whisper small prayers that you are well, that maybe you remember them with some amount of kindness. So you should understand, your energy was never just ordinary. You offered not just your time or your words, but your genuine care. And that kind of care is rare, something not replaced by a casual friend or a temporary fling. They can't deny it. They can't fill it. All they can do is hope that life might steer them back toward you, or at the very least, allow them to say what's been locked in their heart. Maybe one day, they'll muster the courage to break the silence. Chapter 2. You became their strength in ways you didn't even realize. They leaned on you more than they admitted. Perhaps they didn't say so out loud, but your voice of reason or your gentle push gave them confidence when everything else around them was shaking. You might recall times you offered encouragement or simply listened to their scattered thoughts. You saw worth in them they couldn't see, and that reflection of hope ignited a flame inside them like never before. Now that it's gone, they're trying to navigate their challenges alone, and it's harder than they ever imagined. In your absence, they see how deeply your presence affected them. Before, they took for granted the little moments, your approach to their problems, the calmness you brought when they were on the edge. It's more apparent now in daily routines that once included you. Morning chats, shared jokes, or random reassurance. They realize you were their secret source of bravery, fueling them to face obstacles they used to run from. No matter how self-assured they appeared, a chunk of their self-belief was borrowed from your belief in them. It's as if your faith in their potential lent them the courage to attempt bigger things. Without that grounding voice of yours, they might still try, but with more fear in the backdrop. If you ever wonder whether your words or empathy had an impact, rest assured, they were life-changing. Of course, they didn't show their dependence, They wore a mask of independence so you wouldn't see how much they needed your approval. But inside, they found themselves missing your daily presence the moment you were no longer there. Sometimes they even catch themselves in a new challenge, and their reflex is to think, what would you have said or done? In that silent question, they confirm, you became a pillar of strength in their life. Now your departure leaves them searching for a replacement, and they can't find one. That's because it wasn't about generic support. It was specifically your spirit, your unique way of seeing them, that gave them courage. While they can talk to 100 acquaintances, none of them replicate that synergy they had with you. So they move through each day, wishing they had that old spark of hope you freely offered. The effect you had on them transcended the usual pep talks. You taught them resilience, not by lecturing, but by consistently showing up as your authentic self. Someone who overcame challenges, someone who wore empathy like a second skin. That living example shaped them more than any motivational book. Even if you parted ways abruptly or painfully, that foundation you set is impossible to tear down. They might try to replicate your guidance in their mind. What was that phrase you'd say when everything got tough? They might scribble your words on sticky notes or recall your comforting gestures. In a sense, you've become their internal pep talk. That's a deeper bond than surface-level chatter. It's proof that your presence was never trivial or fleeting. It was essential, shaping not just their days, but their very approach to life. Chapter 3. You are misunderstood in ways that hide your real influence. It's no secret that many never grasped your depth. You've been labeled as distant, complicated, or self-contained. People saw your solitude and assumed you were cold or aloof, but they never realized that the reason you kept to yourself had everything to do with protecting your energy and maintaining emotional clarity. They judge the outside, never comprehending the inside. Yet to this person who admires you, your quiet confidence was magnetic. That's something outsiders can't decode. They wonder how you can stand so firmly without a large social circle or constant external validation. And yet those who managed to earn your trust discovered layers of empathy, kindness, and strategic thinking beyond measure. That's precisely what made your closeness so precious. You didn't let just anyone in. You chose. And your chosen ones felt privileged to see that hidden gem of your soul. This distance from the general crowd sometimes led them to assume you were arrogant or that you felt above it all. But truly, your motives were never about being better than anyone. It was more about preserving your mental harmony. You realized how effortlessly other people's chaos could weigh on your spirit, and you refused to sacrifice your peace for the sake of popularity. That principle, ironically, formed the very trait that so deeply touched the person who now misses you. Now this same person wrestles with the misinterpretation swirling around you. They witness acquaintances or colleagues gossiping about your aloof persona, while they know you're the most supportive, understanding soul, if approached genuinely. Yet they watch, powerless, as misperceptions accumulate. Perhaps it's one reason they stay quiet, not quite sure how to defend you to those who just won't get it. Even from afar, they still feel that protective urge. If only people could see your heart the way they once did. But time and distance complicate the matter. Meanwhile, your name floats in conversations tinted with speculation, and the one who knows your truth best stands quietly on the sidelines, missing you. When they try to chime in, they find no one wants to challenge established rumors. They wonder if they should speak up louder or let it rest. That's the conundrum. They sense your impact. They recognize the gentle leadership behind your calm composure. But the world around you only sees partial glimpses. They interpret your boundaries as standoffishness, your quietness as disinterest. This fundamental misunderstanding ironically intensifies the longing. It's not just your presence they crave, but the chance to correct the record, to let others discover your hidden worth. Instead, they watch the assumptions spread and realize how rare it is to find someone with your authenticity. If you question whether people truly miss you, realize the collective doesn't always voice it, because half of them never saw you clearly in the first place. But for the one who did, their frustration runs deep. They think, if only they knew. And so, a knot persists in the shadows, both a private regret that they lost something extraordinary and a quiet rage at a world that never understood you the way they did. It's a restless cycle that can only be broken if, somehow, the truth of who you are emerges for everyone to see. Chapter 4. You left a mark that continues to inspire their quiet growth. They're not just dreaming or thinking about you idly. No, they are actually using the lessons you imparted to shape their decisions. Perhaps it was your unwavering stance on integrity or the way you navigated conflict. Whatever form it took, your influence remains. Each day they face minor crossroads. How to respond to negativity, how to stand up for themselves, how to maintain self-respect in the face of adversity. And in those fleeting seconds, your memory plays like a guiding voice, reminding them to follow a higher path. At times they question if it's foolish to base their growth on a bond that seems impossible to restore, but they can't deny the inner progress they've made since you left. They see it in the better ways they handle anger or disappointment, in the clearer sense of self they've developed. The improvement might not be dramatic, but it's steady, like water carving a path through stone. They know these steps wouldn't have been taken had you never entered their life. It's as though they keep asking themselves, what would you do? Like an invisible yardstick for maturity. They might not have admitted it when you were around, but now in your absence, they see the moral discipline and emotional intelligence you cultivated within them. The gratitude that wells up occasionally is matched by regret that they didn't express it earlier. Even more perplexing to them is how they let you slip away, given the depth of your impact. There could be old text messages or letters from you they reread for motivation. Maybe your pep talks swirl in their head at the oddest moments, or a mental image of your calm resolve surfaces whenever they are about to lose their temper. They use it all like a personal moral compass. This ongoing process doesn't erase their desire to have you physically present, but it does fill them with a certain solemn respect for the bond you created. The tricky part is that they're hesitant to let you know any of this. Pride, fear of rejection, or uncertainty about your reaction holds them back. They fear you'll see them as self-serving if they pop back into your life simply to glean more of your wisdom and warmth, so they keep their distance. And in that distance, the longing grows. They wonder if you'd be proud of how far they've come, or if you've already moved so far beyond them that your chapter is closed for good. But the seeds you planted in them, it keeps growing with each new bud of self-improvement. They reflect on how it was you who tilled the soil. That's the bittersweet core of it all. The more they grow, the more they sense your spiritual presence behind every positive shift. They want to share in that progress with you, but the current chasm between you hovers like an unscalable wall. So for now, they quietly flourish, guided by your blueprint, hoping one day the distance might shrink and you could witness how your influence truly soared them higher. Chapter 5. You may feel a psychic pull indicating their yearning. Even if you push them from your daily thoughts, you can't shut out the subtle psychic tugs that pop up unannounced. A random wave of nostalgia for no reason, a dream that features them unexpectedly, or a gentle heaviness in the chest that lifts only when you realize your mind is drifting to them. That's your signal. They're thinking of you. The emotional thread you share transcends logic or practicality. It's an unspoken channel where their longing flows through and momentarily resonates in your consciousness. You might have chalked it up to residual feelings. You might have assumed you're randomly daydreaming or indulging in fleeting memories. But there's more at play. Their heart is quietly calling out, and your soul is picking up on it. If you sometimes find tears welling up for no apparent reason, or an unexplained ache tugging at you, it might be their silent cry bridging the psychic distance. On a conscious level, they're too reluctant to ask for your comfort, yet their spiritual self continues to broadcast need. That can be both haunting and comforting. Haunting because you aren't sure if you should respond or ignore it. Comforting because it confirms your bond remains unbroken, that your shared storyline hasn't concluded in a neat final page. While you might have boundaries that keep them physically away, your deeper energies still meet at the intersection of longing and memory. This can be draining if you resist it too aggressively. Sometimes letting the wave pass without overanalyzing provides relief. At night, the feeling might intensify. Twilight hours or just before dawn, you might awaken from a dream that felt realer than reality, or feel a presence in your room, an echo of their wanting heart. Before you blame it on an overactive imagination, consider that their spiritual synergy with you lingers strong. The fact that you both once merged energies, whether intimately, emotionally, or through genuine companionship, means the bond never fully dissolved. You may question if you should initiate contact to soothe this tension, but wait carefully. Are you prepared for what might unfold? Because if you open the door, you might step back into unresolved waters. On the other hand, ignoring the psychic signals isn't necessarily unkind. It might be an act of self-protection or acceptance that their growth is theirs to manage. Ultimately, only you can decide if bridging that gap is healthy or detrimental to your current stability. Meanwhile, you sense your spiritual guidance reminding you of your worth. No one's longing, no matter how intense, can define your next move. You have that autonomy. If the cosmos or your own heart leads you to revisit that connection, do so from a place of strength and clarity, not guilt or pity. If you remain in your safe space, trust that your boundary is valid. All the while, the psychic tether runs, letting you glimpse the unspoken truth. You are missed, you are cherished, you are needed in a way no one else can replicate. And that knowledge alone might bring an odd sense of peace, comforting you that your presence, even from afar, still matters profoundly. Chapter 6. You could face an unexpected encounter that forces a choice. Fate rarely leaves unfinished business dormant forever. One day you might find yourself bumping into them at a grocery store, stumbling upon a missed call that somehow connects you, or running into them at a mutual friend's gathering. The suddenness might throw you off balance, unlocking a surge of old emotions you thought long buried. How will you respond in that moment? They could appear flustered or silent, searching your eyes for a sign of forgiveness. You might feel a flutter, not from rekindled romance, but from the shock of facing a person who once mattered. Memories of past hurts collide with the tenderness you once felt, placing you at a crossroads. Do you drop your guard enough for a conversation, or protect yourself by reinforcing the boundaries that led you to walk away? Observing them, you might sense genuine regret, a humility that never existed before. It might stir compassion, but compassion isn't self-compromise. A second chance, if you grant it, must align with your peace. Otherwise, it's stepping back into an old minefield. You can opt for closure without reattachment, a clear exchange of lessons learned, then parting ways. If they want more, you control the pace. You know your worth and won't proceed unless it genuinely enriches your soul. You might also choose avoidance, deciding not to reawaken turmoil. A quick departure or a brief polite chat could be enough. The right to protect your emotional fortress remains yours. Their longing now doesn't guarantee them a pass into the safety you fought hard to rebuild. So stay vigilant. Fate may arrange a scenario for them to seek your presence, but you no longer hand out trust freely. You weigh the words, gauge their accountability, and only engage when it suits your well-being. If that day never comes, that's equally valid. Their longing is simply a natural consequence of losing something truly irreplaceable. Chapter 7. You retain the final power over this connection's future. Every nostalgic wave sent, every wish or ache of longing from them, leads to one truth. You get to choose how this story continues. The heartbreak you survived transformed you, granting you an unerring detector for genuine reciprocity. You can sense empty words, even when they're cloaked in emotional confessions. If they ever gather the courage to return, your decision alone shapes the outcome. This power can feel both exhilarating and burdensome. You've learned that forgiveness can heal, yet lasting change demands action, not promises. They may arrive laden with regrets. You can pardon them but still refuse any reconnection. Or you might offer a tentative bridge, insisting on actual accountability. Either way, you're no longer playing the insecure caregiver, always ready to sacrifice. Now it's your terms that matter. They can either rise to meet these boundaries or withdraw, wounded by the new equilibrium. No matter how deeply they miss you, you aren't obliged to ease their emptiness just because they now comprehend your value. They must respect your pace and comfort level. A second chance hinges on whether they sincerely atone for past failings. Should they push too hard, your self-protective strength will answer. If they accept your standards, a measured path might open, but not for vengeance or gameplay. It's simply ensuring you never again pay with your mental or emotional welfare. Their realization of your importance doesn't erase the self-respect you claim by leaving. Love might still linger, or perhaps it's gone. You might treasure old memories or feel an emotional void. Regardless, the choice is yours. If their proposed future doesn't align with your present truth, that's closure. If there's alignment, a new dynamic built around clear boundaries could emerge. Standing in your resilience, let them yearn or strive to repair the rift. You're no longer the person who believed love required self-betrayal. You've tasted freedom and recognized your own worth. If they seek a place in your life, they must approach as an equal, proving with deeds, not words, that they've changed. If you choose to keep your distance, that's still victory. Your worth remains intact, validated by the fact that your very presence left a lasting imprint. Their longing doesn't dictate your wholeness. And if your path demands leaving them behind entirely, so be it. This journey taught you to prioritize whatever nourishes your spirit and honors who you become. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your support. Helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.